Hello again, everybody. This is Pat Atkins, and I'm joining you today from the mock trial room here at Waco High School, where we're joined by Judge Ken Starr, team members Olivia Henderson and Hally Miller, and then, of course, our coach, Rick Lowe. And we're talking today about some very special involvement and some coaching that our students are receiving as part of the mock trial team. Judge Starr, obviously you have a wide resume, including being Solicitor General of the United States, a former appellate judge on the D.C. Circuit, your time with Baylor as both Chancellor and President, and now you find yourself volunteering with our high school mock trial team. How did that come about?
I talked to Bonnie Kane. I love Dr. Kane. I said, well, I'm no longer at Baylor, but I want to be involved in education, and so I'm going to be seeing Johnette McCown at MCC. But I've always volunteered in high schools when I can. When I was in Washington, D.C. for 30 years, we always had some engagement in high schools in the Washington, D.C. area. So she said, you need to work with the famous Mr. Lowe in the mock trial program. So I've been a volunteer here this fall and now this year.
Now, obviously behind us are a lot of plaques of a lot of the tradition and success this team has had. Before you came on board, were you aware of some of the success that this mock trial team has had traditionally?
Only vaguely, but when I met with Mr. Love, Mr. Lowe, Ms. Saxenian, and Dr. Kane, I was overwhelmed with the great traditions and success of the program. So it's a wonderful opportunity for these students. And Mr. Lowe and those who've gone before him here at Waco High have done just a fantastic job.
You know, we talk a lot about the community narrative when it comes to Waco ISD and particularly Waco High. Before you got involved with this team, did you have sort of a preconceived notion of what Waco High was all about?
It's better than I thought, to be honest, but I've always worked in public schools, and public schools have lots of challenges these days. But I was just so impressed, first of all, by the leadership and then the students, so it's just been all good.
Talk a little bit about your interaction, exactly what you're doing with the team and your interaction with the students.
I do whatever Mr. Lowe tells me to do. He is the ultimate judge here. He's uber judge. But at times I'll preside, make comments, hopefully helpful. But also there are just times when there are perhaps resources that we can find to deepen the learning. So whatever Mr. Lowe knows I'm his volunteer.
I know there are times when you've been able to interact with students while they're performing some of the scenarios they're likely to encounter at competition. Let's take a look at one of those scenarios right now, and then I'll ask you about it.
Very good.
Counsel, you may proceed.
May it please the court. Your Honor, members of the jury, opposing counsel. Houston, we have a problem, but the defense has two bigger problems, and they are called the presumption of innocence and reasonable doubt. My name is Olivia Henderson, and I, along with my co-counsel, Tansy Ackerman and Rachel Stevens, have the honor of defending one Houston Witt. Ms. Witt, please stand. We as the defense have a problem. This problem is that Houston Witt has been falsely accused of the murder of the superstar popper. The prosecution has the burden of proving to you the four murder elements, which are that Houston Witt knowingly or intentionally caused the death of Roger Noslin, which they cannot and will not prove to you. And while the prosecution has to prove to you all four of those elements, the defense has no burden to prove anything at all. You, the jury, have the responsibility of holding the prosecution to their burden. Finally, we will call Crash Derby to the stand, an authority figure on the music scene in America. Crash will testify to the great relationship that existed between Houston and Popper. She will tell you how much she admires Houston and their loyalty and respect for one another. She will also testify to Popper's severe depression he was facing, but how Houston and Popper were still family, and that Houston would have never done anything to hurt him. Ladies and gentlemen, the prosecution will have you believe that Houston Witt deliberately caused the death of Roger Noslin, but that is not the case. After hearing the testimony of our three witnesses, we will clearly show you that there is no problem with Houston. The problem is that the prosecution is wrong. And once you see all of the problems in their case, you will see that every problem equals a reasonable doubt. A reason to doubt that Houston Witt committed this act. After hearing the testimony of the defense, I ask you to find in favor of our client Houston Witt and find her not guilty of murder. Thank you.
Very good. You may be seated, counsel. Well, what did you think, everyone? Well, I thought it was an excellent, very strong performance. And one of the things that I liked, my dear fellow students, was Her movement was very good, and you know, she spoke with real feeling. And that's one of the things, you've got to believe in the cause. And I thought that came through. Do you all agree with that she really believes in her cause? I also like your opening theme, Houston, because the defendant, of course, is Houston Witt, and so she's very clever in using a real attention getter. Houston, we have a problem. But then you notice the pivot. The pivot was really good. You might just take a little bit more time for the pivot, and I know time is our challenge. Time is the great enemy here. But how about a round of applause for Olivia Henderson? And now, how does the jury vote?
Guilty.
What? You haven't even heard the prosecution. I think the jury needs more instructions. So anyway, thank you. You guys were great. Great attention from the jury as well. Thank you.
Mr. Starr, obviously it looked like there you were helping a student with part of their opening. Talk a little bit about what you've done with the students and sort of your impression of the students who are part of the mock trial team.
Well, at times, especially with the questions, you want the questions to be succinct, short, and you want the witness to be the star. So it's one of the things that I try to just supplement and echo what Mr. Lowe has already mastered. His training is in theater, but my word, he is just terrific. He's ready to practice law right now. So I try really to again, reinforce the kinds of things that he's saying. On the opening, which you just heard, you heard a superb opening. And Olivia Henderson is just a natural. There's so much talent here at this high school, and you saw a great performance. And one of the things I suggested was just emphasize the theme. The lawyer needs a theme. What is the theme of this presentation that the jury needs to really understand and to appreciate?
Let's take a minute and talk to some of the kids who are on the team. Olivia Henderson, Hally Miller. Olivia, what's your role and kind of what do you do on the mock trial team?
I'm a defense attorney, so I am part of the work that helps Hally come off clean without the conviction.
All right. And Hally, are you a witness or are you also an attorney?
I am actually the defendant, so I'm pretty much the main witness.
All right. Tell me first, whenever you found out that Judge Ken Starr was going to be assisting with the Waco High team this year, what was your immediate reaction?
Well, I actually didn't join mock trial until this year. It was a great decision, but I just didn't think about it until this year. And when I first heard that Judge Starr was going to be joining, not only was I shocked that this man was the third in line to the Attorney General of the United States at one point, but also that he has his own Wikipedia page. It was pretty impressive to me. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I was just amazed that at somewhere like Waco High, we would get the opportunity to work with someone as talented and as experienced as Judge Starr.
And having your own Wikipedia page is something to aspire to in your own life.
For me, it personally is. I don't know about y'all, but.
Olivia, talk to me a little bit about the opportunities you've had to interact with Judge Starr and kind of what he's brought to the team.
He's brought a lot to the team. Mostly for me, since I'm a lawyer, he's definitely helped, like you saw before, with the opening speech. This is my first year being a lawyer on the team, so he definitely helped it sound more like a lawyer and what you'd hear in the actual court, which was helpful. And he also helped a lot with the objections that the lawyers have to know and memorize, and when to object and how to object and everything like that. So.
Fantastic. And Coach Lowe, I want to visit with you for a moment. Obviously, you have a tradition of having local attorneys come and assist with your team, and that's part of the reason you've had as much success as you've had. But tell me your immediate reaction when you found out that Judge Starr was going to be assisting this year.
Well, I learned in July, and I was almost silent. I mean, I was so lost for words, and it's very rare for those that know me. I have, of course, known Judge Starr back, 20 years ago or earlier, back when he was, the special prosecutor. And then when I found out that he was coming to Baylor, I thought, what a fantastic hire by Baylor University. And then when we met, I just thought, this is a fantastic opportunity. And I want to thank Dr. Kane for persuading Judge Starr to help. I want to thank Judge Starr for his volunteering. Like he said, every place he's been, he's gone to public schools. And he's in Waco, so he came to Waco High, and I appreciate that.
Talk a little bit about what he's brought to the team as y'all prepare to go into competition.
Well, first of all, he's brought a whole perspective because he's an appellate judge and he's argued for the Supreme Court, but that's not mock trial. So he's learning along with the kids, and it's been great because he's been able to approach. and able to approach it. I'll learn English one of these days. He's been able to approach it as they do, as a fresh start, yet with all of his experience as we draw other things in. He's also brought in a guest speaker for us, and then he has been there when I've needed him, most importantly to work one-on-one with the kids. And then, of course, as we run the trial in class, he is the presiding judge.
You know, we keep talking about the mock trial competition. Some of our viewers at home may not be familiar with exactly what we're talking about. Explain a little bit about the young lawyers' involvement and the different levels and how far the team can go.
The mock trial competition is established by the Dallas Bar Association. It is set up across the state of Texas, and it is divided into the regions. We're Region 12, same with our service center. There can be as many as 3 or 4 levels because we're a small region. We have regional, and then the winner of regional advances to state. And then at the state level, you pick a winner, and then they, in turn, go to nationals. So it's a state level competition, and then it's also a national competition.
This competition's gone on for years. Off the top of your head, do you know how many times Waco High's won the regional level and advanced to state?
I had the number memorized. I think it's around 11 times we've done it. I know that we are the most, we've had the most success of any of our public schools doing it, and that success has been through people like Judge Starr, the support, the awesome support of the administration, and you as a member of the board. Do you know how much it is? Your partners have been a vital part of it. The TCOs have been awesome with us. We've had great success, and we're rebuilding. And Judge Starr and Dr. Kane and the board, y'all have supported us, and we're ready to take another step.
Judge Starr, let me finish up with you. Just a couple of final questions. In terms of being to interact with the students and prepare them for competition, I mean, how gratifying has this been for you?
Oh, it's wonderful. I really have missed being in the high school setting. I probably reached my level with elementary school kids. We actually adopted an elementary school in Washington, D.C. for a couple of years. And that was fun to read to the children and so forth and just to be there for them. But here, these are young adults, and these are very intelligent, already very accomplished young adults. So they keep us on our toes. They challenge us in the best sense of what I mean by that professionally. But I would just say this, Waco High School is a jewel. It's a jewel for this city. So I feel it's just a great privilege and blessing to be involved.
You know, when you talk about the polish and really kind of the professionalism the kids bring to it, I got to chair this competition a couple of years for the local young lawyers chapter. And in watching some of those final rounds, it is really amazing that those students don't look like high school kids pretending to be lawyers. I mean, they really come across as young lawyers in their ability to think on their feet and really articulate arguments.
They not only work hard, and with just remarkable dedication, including after hours, they're working on weekends and so forth. So there's a real discipline. Whatever the field they go into, they are going to be all the better for having had this experience of just a very concentrated professional effort to achieve excellence. And that's exactly what they do.
Well, on behalf of the district, not only as a board member, but also as a Waco High parent, thank you for your time and for your commitment and your willingness to volunteer and work with our students.
Well, thank you, but the thanks really are entirely mine.
And thank you for joining us on Channel 17 as we gave you a little more information about Waco High, the mock trial team, and the involvement of Judge Ken Starr. Thank you for watching.